Did you know that a majority of Americans receive their largest paycheck as their tax return? Hi, my name is Sam Porter. I'm going to walk through today the business model of TaxSaver. Quick overview of the agenda today. Going to do a quick introduction of myself and TaxSaver as a company. Then we're going to get into the logistics of the opportunity within the market and the share that we hope to capture, and then going through kind of our business plan in order to acquire customers and then retain them in the long term to ensure that we can help them maximize tax returns on a yearly basis. So, real quick introduction of myself. I was born and raised in the Portland, Maine area. Got over 5 years of experience in the data science industry. I've done just about everything from developing the machine learning models to interpreting model predictions on multi-million-dollar deals, as well as provided some sophisticated analytics to uncover key revenue driving solutions that really helped keep these fintechs afloat. Currently working on the recommendation analytics team at Credit Karma in Charlotte, North Carolina. But enough about me. Let's get into TaxSaver here. So before I jump into the slide, I just want to give a quick background of the motivation of TaxSaver. The whole idea of the tax planning service has always been this luxury service that you either have to make a certain amount of income, or you're going to end up paying a lot of money for a CPA that you may not be able to fully afford. So you go through that route of paying a lot of money. You can also go through the route of doing your own research and looking at random articles online to see what you can do to save. But there's trade-offs with both. You go through the tax planning professional, and you're going to end up having to pay money that you may not end up having at the end of the day. You go and do your research, and you find all of these free articles out there, and it's not going to be super personalized to you. So who knows what your tax break actually will be with going into this product, and or if there even will be a tax break. So that's kind of where TaxSaver fits in. Is we're going to be this free online tax planning service that's really going to personalize the experience for the user. And it's really to allow them to track the progress towards their annual tax refunds and then make adjustments based on the recommendations we provide them in order to ensure that they are getting the most out of their annual tax return. And so our whole mission is going to be around, providing increased transparency on taxes, just so that we can further increase their financial stewardship of our members. We're gonna end up being an e-commerce, kind of like a B2C company, that we're gonna make money, through people opening new accounts with these big banks. So let's say you open up a new IRA account, rather than having our members to ever spend a dime, we're going to have the banks pay TaxSaver for acquiring a new customer. That way that we can ensure that TaxSaver is always free to our members and always will be. Because our whole goal at the end of the day is to put money back in the pockets of those who really need it the most. So that is why we're going to put the revenue really coming from partners acquiring new customers here. And then I touched on this a bit already, but just really wanted to hammer this in that we differentiate ourselves from our competitors by really providing a free tax planning service, which is different than your typical tax planner or CPA, and it's going to be a bit more personalized than, say, if you do your own research. So our target industry, TaxSaver is going to be a financial tech company. Fintech is really any new technology that's seeking to improve, the experience and delivery of financial services. So I think we fit within this space pretty well. We've done our research on the market, and there's a lot of potential for growth within fintech, at least within the next 6 to 7 years. So you can see in 2021, fintech was worth about 113 billion. It's projected to go up to 333 billion in 2028, which is an annual growth rate of almost 20%. So a lot of opportunity here in this space, which I think is really good to see because there's an opportunity for us to come in and steal a part of this share. Now, getting into our total addressable market, given that tax saver is going to be around taxes, our addressable market is really anybody who files a tax return. And so the number of individuals that filed tax returns, according to the IRS, in 2020 and 2021 was about 260 million. Now you think of that 260 million, that's going to have people across all income levels. So given that our whole product is going to be to try and help individuals, under $125,000 in annual salary, which I'll get into further on later slides. I really don't care about anybody who makes over $200,000 in a year, because the thought is that you've already gone out and you've paid for a CPA, or somebody to help out with your tax return. So that's really not the target market here. So that's that 7% number. Sorry, so that I'm going to remove that from the 260 million. And then the percent of addressable market to convert. So this is the percentage of the market that does not have an IRA or FSA or HSA. Essentially, it's the part of the addressable market that has the opportunity to convert and open a new account that will help them improve their tax return. And then the average conversion cost, which is the average cost it takes for a company to acquire a new customer within the banking industry. So if we look at that, that brings our total addressable market to about 14.5 billion. You look at the total or the serviceable addressable market. The main difference here is that of the 260 million that file tax returns yearly, we have between 75 to 78% of them are filed digitally. So that's total serviceable market is really just filtering down to everybody who is going to file their tax returns digitally. And if they're already doing it digitally, then tax planning, doing that digitally is going to be an easy transition. And then the serviceable obtainable market, that's just assuming that, we can acquire 20% of this serviceable addressable market, which, given that there is no other free tax planning service out there, I think is a very realistic ask. But this is going to be something that we're going to have to continue to iterate on, as we continue to get more data. So our target market is going to be, that middle class American who is, financially savvy and, more often than not going to have a W-2, so maybe working a corporate America job. Most of the time it's going to be, those U.S. citizens between 22, 34 years old, annual income about 50 to 125K. We want them living in large cities or suburbs close by. The whole idea is that, it's going to be easier for us to target these members. They are going to be, more apt to try and learn and put themselves in these situations where they're going to try new things and see if it works with them. And that's really what we want from TaxSaver, is we want to be able to get these fast learners who can come into the platform, tell us what's working, tell us what isn't working, and then we can iterate based on what our customers are telling us. And so that gives into our, our whole customer journey. So the customer journey right now, if you want to go through doing your tax return, or tax planning on your own, so the first thing you could do is you could go to H&R Block. I got Credit Karma here. There's TaxSlayer, to go through some service to try and estimate what your tax return will be for the upcoming year. And you can see, there's some wide variations depending on where you go. And now let's say the tax return is what it says over here, Credit Karma, and you're actually going to have to pay $400. So there's a couple avenues that you can go about. You can go to that traditional tax planning financial planner, CPA, to ask what can be done to minimize your responsibility here, so that you can ensure that you don't have to end up paying more come tax time, and maybe you actually get a refund. Or you can go out and you can do your own research and see if you can find any tax saving strategies on your own, implement them, and then hope that those pay off. But with either or, there's a trade-off. There's a trade-off of you spending money, or there's a trade-off of the unknown. You implement a strategy and you aren't entirely sure what your savings could be come tax time. So, that's really where TaxSaver is going to try and fill the gap. So, you're going to still go through your traditional experience of, hey, let me estimate my tax return. After you estimate your tax return, you're going to come into a dashboard at TaxSaver where you're going to have these personalized recommendations where we can say, okay, I see that you're on pace to have a $2,500 tax return. Did you know, based on your background, you have an opportunity to increase that return by signing up for an IRA and putting in some contributions here. And so the whole idea there is that this is going to be a win-win. We're going to allow our customers to understand the end goal and where they're pacing towards for their tax return in the year. Try and increase transparency, reduce the surprises. It's also going to be a win-win because it's going to help with some of this financial stewardship to help individuals in those lower income brackets to invest, but not only invest, but also by putting that money back in their pockets, because you're going to save money on taxes, but then you're also going to have money hopefully appreciating over time with the market, or using it in other ways without having to pay as many taxes on it. And so that's the ultimate win for our members, is putting members' money back in their pockets when they need it, and they can decide how they want to spend it before they get penalized with high tax rates come tax time. So to get to this end state of our customers leveraging the platform that we hope to see, we're going to have to acquire some customers. So the whole idea, it starts with our member. Our member is going to come into the app through a few different media sources. So we could have media outlets, thinking your newspapers, your news, just spreading good word about the company, or at least describing what the product is offering. So social media would be another option, working with influencers, creating our own content on YouTube on how TaxSaver works, what's the differentiating factor. Word of mouth, which we hope to be one of our largest channels. We really hope that TaxSaver provides this optimal experience for our members, that your friends is going to tell his family members and then tell other friends about this incredible app that's helping them save money. And then from that, we'll have more members sign up. And then lastly is SEO marketing. So the whole idea I came up with this company was because I was, trying to find some tax planning advice. And so if we can go about, optimizing what people are searching for when they're looking for tax planning advice, we may be able to capture interest of individuals who are financially savvy and trying to do their own homework. And rather than having them go on this goose chase or pay hundreds of dollars, have them come into our free app, try it out, and hopefully gain their trust. And then downloading the app, once you go in, we're going to have this onboarding experience where you're going to provide some basic information, on your tax situation. So the whole idea in the sign up process is we want to make this as minimal as possible. So really only asking for the information that we truly need to get a good estimate of what your annual tax return is going to look like. And then providing the option to, if you always want to go back and revisit the information you put in, you can get more precise on other financial accounts, that investment accounts you may have, and the exact dollar amounts, what your exact annual income was last year versus this year, so on and so forth. And then once you've completed that sign up process, you go to the dashboard. We'll show you where you're on track in order to hit that tax return at the end of the year. And then below, we'll provide some recommendations on how we can help you further maximize that tax return, so that we can ensure that you have as much money in your pockets there as possible. So getting into acquiring new customers, um, the cost of customer acquisition that we're saying is going to be about $71. And that's broken out across the four ways, four avenues that we hope to acquire new customers. So first of that being through other outlets or other media outlets. So that's going to be, email marketing. Once we can try and get a base of users that we can send out email campaigns, we hope that we can acquire individuals to come into the app and continue to use it, and understand the benefit that we're providing, um, and hopefully spread the word to some of their friends. And then the other piece is going to be your articles. So, this is just thinking maybe your local Charlotte Axios newspaper writing something about this new startup, and, getting eyes on it, getting people familiar with the name, the understanding of what the company is accomplishing, and, getting new customers from that. So obviously the cost of customer acquisition with these two media outlets is going to be a little bit higher. It's a little bit more friction with email. We got to get the members, and then they've actually got to move in down funnel. And then the articles, you might read about it, but you may not actually go into your phone and download it. So given the high customer acquisition costs that are associated with this, we've decided to only allocate about 10% of our marketing budget at first, and then always readjust, as we figure out what is our most optimal channel for acquiring new customers here. Moving on to social media, we're prioritizing YouTube, really because we want to provide some sort of educational avenue so people understand what TaxSaver does and the complexities of the app. So with YouTube, it's going to be, understanding how this is different than, say, another tax planner, understanding how we make money so that people, are fairly transparent with what's going on, and that we're not selling their data. Um, and then also just like giving them an overview of the various sides of the app, because it's going to be a new experience, and if people get frustrated or people don't know how to input information, we want to give them an avenue to make it as easy as possible for them. Also planning to go into Instagram. Instagram's really going after our target demographic. That's that 2020 to 22 to 34-year-old. So, really have to be putting stuff on that space, really making it easy where, hey, we can show you a quick video or a quick ad, and then going in straight to the app store to download the app. Pinterest, these are our planners. I think tax planning and planning go hand in hand here. So, that's really going after the personality type that we think we want to acquire with TaxSaver. And then the last being Twitter, which again is going after, that target demographic in terms of age and avid learners, who may be following Twitter to get some of their daily news there. Word of mouth, it's something that's more difficult to quantify. Again, I think that's going to be more of a spillover bucket where once we figure out where we're acquiring these customers from the various channels we have here, everything else is going to be assumed from word of mouth. So any leftover marketing spend that we cannot attribute here would be put into the word of mouth bucket. And then the SEO marketing, this is within Google, so really trying to fine tune the search terms that we're going after. So obviously we're going to want to make sure that we put a lot of bidding on some of the top words that we really think that we can set ourselves apart from competitors. So if there's certain search terms like free tax planning, where we have an opportunity to be one of the top offers, if that is searched, I think we will use, we would rather go all in on that than putting 10% of our spend there and 30% of our spend on other search terms, where we end up not being one of the top advertisements or one of the top posts that pops up when individuals search for these words. So that's really why we put 50% spend, because I think SEO marketing is going to be a really important channel for us to acquire new customers. But that's going to be something that we'll have to pivot on over time once we get more data. So getting into our decision-making unit, this is the word of mouth channel that I really see. How are we going to acquire more customers? It's really going to be from our members. If we're not providing a exceptional experience, then more members are not going to join because word of mouth is going to get around. So that's where we really need our champions to come in here. Those are going to be our partners who ultimately are going to be benefiting by getting new customers who are excited to open new accounts and hopefully start to grow with those companies. It's going to be the end user who at the end of the day is going to be putting more money back in their pocket. So we want to ensure that they have a positive experience. And then the online influencer, I would say they also fall into the champion bucket, mainly because they want to see us succeed, because the more individuals that will use, say, their code to sign up for the app, the more they are going to get paid. So obviously, the larger the company becomes, the more people that will use their codes, the more money they will make. People with veto power, that's going to be the partners. Primarily, the reason I say that is, there is a possibility that accounts sent over them could not be profitable. There's an opportunity that they might not see value add from having tax saver referrals. So ultimately, they can pull off the platform or say that the prices that we're charging per new customer we send over is too high. So they're going to have a lot of power there. We're really going to have to do our analysis to determine the profitability of new customers that we send. And then the other piece is going to be the government, around regulations. I think we have an opportunity here. The big agency that we're going to have to work with is going to be the IRS. IRS is, historically understaffed. I think it is known one of the biggest issues of the IRS is the complication that comes with tax filing and all the complexities of the various forms that are needed and potentially finding savings. So I think what we can do is really try and work with the IRS to uncover some of these complexities to make this more of a simplistic process from a tax planning side. And then from the tax return side, working with, a company that has already built those ties with the IRS, say you're Intuit, TurboTax, or some other company, so that, in the end state, we've already built that partnership. And if they ever decide that they're looking for an acquisition, we could be a complementary product for them. And then our influencers, again, goes without saying, it's going to be the media sources, your online influencers, hence the name, and then your family and friends. I think those are really going to be the people that are going to influence people to come into the app, to give it a try, and to see if it works for them as well. So getting into the app, here's the experience that we hope to drive. We're going to have an individual go download the app on the App Store. Once you download the app, you're going to sign in and you're going to sign up for a new tax saver account. That image on the left where you can see, are you single or married? We're going to try and provide a sign-up process that's very easy to complete. So, you can see right here, it's just touching a button. I don't want them typing a lot of excess words or information that doesn't need to be captured here. And then once you fill out your basic information, something will pop up and say, congratulations for signing up for your tax saver account. Your estimated return as of now is within this range. So you can see with this dummy user for Tate is about $100 to $300. And we want to be able to provide 95% confidence that your tax return is going to fall within this range. So that range could be wider for some individuals, but we're going to get more and more precise, as our models learn more, as our members put in more information. And that way we can help our members better track towards their annual tax return each and every year. And then obviously after having that tax return, or having that estimated return there, we can go ahead and make a recommendation below. Something like, if you open a flexible spend account, you have the opportunity to save or to increase your annual return by up to $500. So that's kind of the whole experience we're expecting here. And just a bit more clarity on that onboarding process. It's just asking, are you single? Are you married? Or your wages in 2021? A couple other questions, maybe about existing accounts that you have, or other complications on dependents, or credits that may be within your state. And then we'll go ahead and provide that tax return to get you in to view your personalized dashboard. So as you may have already gathered, TaxSaver is going to be a lead fee business model. So essentially, we're going to try to acquire customers. Once we acquire the customers, we're going to recommend them some of our products that our partners are offering. And then when a customer opens a new account with a partner, that is when TaxSaver gets paid. So we're really just providing new accounts to these new partners in the hopes that they can help grow their businesses by getting more customers. And then we can also help our customers by making them more aware of tax saving strategies and increasing financial stewardship and self-service with their finances. Differentiating factor for us, again, is just that providing the free personalization of tax planning recommendations, which you can only get that personalized touch with a CPA, or some sort of tax planner that's going to cost hundreds of dollars. Or you don't get a personalized experience and it's free, but you have to go and do your research on articles and kind of have this lack of transparency as to how it will impact your return. And then some of our potential partners, just off the top of our head, were Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab, and say a Robinhood. And then some potential products to get started would be like an IRA, an HSA, FSA, brokerage accounts. And obviously, we would further expand and try and understand various credits that may apply to individuals given their situations, as well as, based on the area in which you live. So the 5-year plan with TaxSaver is going to really use that first year to hone in on a small market and do a lot of testing. So that's focusing in North Carolina, only focusing on North Carolina returns, using our marketing strategy and targeting certain demographic areas to ensure that it can be well spread out across the state. So the thought is, really working on our marketing efforts in Charlotte, in Raleigh, in Wilmington, in Asheville, so that we're spread out geographically, but also the fact that these are some large cities in North Carolina, we hope news can also spread to the suburbs and then further out into North Carolina. And then obviously once we acquire these customers, it's going to just be listening to them and continue to iterate to see what is working, what is not working, to try and provide that optimal experience. In year 2, outside of that initial A/B testing phase, we're going to start expanding to more users. The goal is going to be 100,000 members. The thought is to go from North Carolina right to nationwide. I think that's going to be a decision that we'll make at the time, whether that makes sense or whether we want to expand to a few more states before going to all Americans. And then year 3, it's just going to be continuing to expand more users, trying to figure out how can we capture a larger share of the market, and then expanding on those personalizations that we, or the recommendations that we're offering. So don't just offer them to open a new account Every bit of advice we provide doesn't just have to be revenue generating. Something can be said about having individuals with trust that you're looking out after their best interests. So there could be an opportunity for us to provide, some awareness or education on ways or on credits or ways for them to save on their tax return that we don't make money. But it would be this engagement that has them coming back to the app to check, to learn, build a trust with us, and then ultimately, hopefully, have that longer time value, the long-term value with the company where they come back and open new accounts. And then by year 4, we really hope to expand and have over 1 million members to try and track their financial progress. And then year 5, I really want to get to a point where we're being recognized as one of the top free tax planning services in the US. I want this to be something that's championed because we're helping our members and we're making a difference in their lives, as well as just being this transformative financial tech company, on the way up. So while being recognized, I hope to have 5 million members by that point in time. Some key assumptions here. These are going to be our customer acquisition costs by channel. That's going to be something that we're just going to have to continue to pivot on. Once we figure out avenues where we have a lower cost for acquiring new customers, we're going to just have to optimize and put more of our spend to those channels, and then pull out of channels that we find end up being, inefficient, or at least reducing our spend in those areas. And then the other thing is going to be that cost per acquisition. We used a $200, which is pretty standard within the banking industry of acquiring a new customer. That could pivot depending on the profitability analysis that we end up doing, and or what our partners see as the true value in these new accounts that they're sending over. And then, the total addressable market. I think the biggest assumption is going to be the percentage of users that will convert. This was something that we use based on the percentage of Americans that do not have these financial products, that have the opportunity to open a product, such as an IRA or an HSA. And then the other piece is going to be that percentage of obtainable market share. Our assumption was that we could get 20% of the serviceable of the SOM. And I think that's, again, something that we will figure out as we get more data. I think that the last piece before I wrap it up here is going to be around how do we ensure that we can have customer longevity. So let's say a customer comes into the app and they have opened an IRA, they already have a brokerage account, and they have an FSA and an HSA through their employer. How do we ensure that these members are going to continue to come back to the platform and see value, rather than just being a one and done? And I think that really comes, with a few pieces. One, it's to being transparent. I think we have to understand what our members are looking for. We can't try and hide in the shadows and keep these mysteries. I think we show them everything we know. These are the opportunities that we think we can help you out on. However, this is not an exhaustive list. And here's a link to other credits, or other opportunities that may help you out. Ultimately, that's going to have to spill over into providing more deep recommendations, with that, trade-off between engagement and, say, revenue generating content. But I think that's going to be something where, as long as we can build trust with our members, then we can have customers who continue to come back and trust us to take care of them each and every year through their tax return. And I think that's really the big thing, because tax planning is not a 1 year and done service. It's going to be something that you have to do every single year. And so if we can build that trust early on with our customers, we can lock in customers for a long period of time. And that's all I have. Thank you for the time, and I'll take any questions.